And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com. Go see our good friends at Hail Mary's. They're in Cheviot. They're right on Harrison Avenue, so they're inside the Dora district. You can go from bar to bar with your drinks, but no need for that. Hang out at Hail Mary's. They've got all you need. 27 TVs, 9-screen video wall. They have the DirecTV Sports package, so you can watch all the games. And, of course, Cincinnati Sports will always be on the 9-screen video wall. Brand new walk-in coolers, brand new draft lines, and, of course, ice-cold Cincy Light in 32.8-degree frosted glasses. Get out to Hail Mary's and have yourself a good time. All right, Aaron, we have been sprinkling in a little sprinkle, drip, these position shows, but we have not done them enough because there has been a lot going on. We need to hit the gas on these bad boys because camp starts Monday, and we still have like 5 left to do. So we did our preview show tonight on the BCJ pod. We had Nico Palizzetti on Monday to give his perspective as things head into camp. And we're on the accelerator button. Stay tuned to this channel. I have 2 different segments with Scott Satterfield coming up this week. Also a segment with Tyson Veit talking about the defense. So if you're trying to get ready for camp and you're trying to figure out who is who, what is what names to watch for, what to look for, Tiger's excited about it. He knows camp's coming up. He can't wait for me to leave them here for, 3, 4, 5 hours as I head out to Camp Higher Ground and do work. But as it stands, let's get to a position tonight that maybe is the most important position for us to talk about going into the 25 season. Dave talked about this extensively tonight on the BCJ pod. I think he's right. This is an offense that has to get up and over 30 points a game if they are going to compete and be a team that can win 7, 8, 9 games in the Big 12 this year. It wasn't good enough 2 years ago. It got better last year, but I don't think it got over the hump, as we saw by the decline in the offense over the 5-game losing streak to end the season. Let's talk wide receiver.
Well, last season, especially in the last, 5 games of the season, I was begging, pleading to anyone who would listen for a deep ball, an attempt at a deep ball.
Just throw one.
An attempt at a deep ball, much less a catch. I think that this wide receiver room has to be better. It's simply put, it has to be better, because if you want to open things up for a guy who came back for you for a season that he really didn't have to come back. He didn't have to come back to college. He certainly didn't have to come back to Cincinnati if he did come back to college, and he came back for all of those things. But if you want Joe Royer to be able to get open, and that's not what this segment is about, Joe Royer, but if you want him to be able to get open, it's going to involve your receivers doing something. I feel like the meme or with the stick, do something. The little guy poking the guy. But you brought in a ton of new guys.
A lot.
You've revamped the room. You've got the top 3 guys on the depth chart, especially, at least as we've put it together, are Jeff Caldwell, Caleb Goodie, and Cyrus Allen. Not in any particular order. But they should probably see, between those 3 guys, the bulk of the snaps. And of those 3 guys, who's going to emerge as fan favorite? Who's going to emerge as the guy that Brendan Sorsby leans on? Who's going to emerge as the guy who makes the big plays? Any and all of those things are up for grabs. I am fascinated to see how this room kind of matures over the course of the season.
5 transfers, Aaron. 5. Allen, Caldwell, Goodie, along with Isaiah Johnson and Noah Jennings. So
and Jennings made a ton of plays in spring ball as well.
Yeah. So you're looking at almost an entirely new group. Dave pointed it out in the show earlier tonight, there's one guy that's caught a pass at Cincinnati in this room, and that's Barry Jackson, and he hadn't caught a bunch of them. So
how many were past the line of scrimmage when he did catch them?
Yeah. So they knew that they needed a different look. They knew that what they had didn't work. I think they would love to have kept Tony Johnson, but I think Tony Johnson looked at the additions that they brought in and wondered, where exactly do I fit with this group? And he decided to transfer out after the spring. That hurts, because that was a guy that I really thought at the end of the year, that was the one wide receiver that Sorsby had developed some chemistry with, and Tony Johnson made some plays towards the end of the year. But I don't think it was anything that any of us were like jumping out of our skin that the answers at wide receiver are solved because Tony Johnson. I think we were still looking at, okay, well, you need like 4 more Tony Johnsons if you're going to be any good.
Well, and when the best guy that you're bringing back is your slot guy, I don't know how great that is. I think slot guys.
Well, he played outside. They moved him. He played both spots.
Looking at the roster as it is currently comprised, I would imagine he was probably going to be your slot guy.
Probably.
So that said, if that's the guy that's leaving and that's the guy that you have to replace, you're probably in a better spot than you were a year ago.
Fair. A lot of this rests on the shoulder of 2 guys. One, Cyrus Allen had a solid spring. We had Nico on Monday night on the BBP. He raved about the work Cyrus Allen has put in this summer and the ownership he has taken of being kind of the leader of that group and being a guy that, is going to be asked a lot of. And remember, I think he was the first guy that Brendan Sorsby jumped in his DMs from talking to Sorsby, from, everything that we saw like through the transfer portal. Brendan Sorsby was quick to make that connection with Cyrus Allen and say, hey, we need you here. So Cyrus Allen, Jeff Caldwell, everything points to those being your 2 outside guys. Caldwell is jumping up gigantic leaps from where he was at Lindenwood. He's a guy that he told us in the spring he grew like 7 inches between his junior and senior year, and then went to Lindenwood because his brother was there, stayed loyal to that while his brother was there, and then got into the transfer portal this offseason. Those 2 guys have a lot of weight on their shoulder, Aaron, because if those are your 2 outside guys, those are your 2 main guys, those are the 2 guys that, like you said, are going to potentially take a lot of heat off of Joe Royer. And if those 2 guys are good, this offense looks entirely different than it did a year ago.
Well, between those 2 guys, Cyrus Allen coming from Texas A&M, and Caldwell should be able to win a handful of 50-50 balls. Yeah. But what you want is those 2 guys to stretch the field. And truthfully, how many games did we talk on the recap shows last year about how shrunken this field was, because it didn't matter where you were on the field. You really only had about 15 yards to play with.
They played in a 15-yard box. They played the entire season in a 15-yard box.
You're doing the defense at that point a favor as an offense, because they don't have to worry about anybody going over top. They don't have to worry about shading anybody or doing anything with their safeties. Really, you're making them play a very simple game plan at that point in time.
You're in base defense. You really don't have to ever leave base defense.
You can blitz.
Team cannot stretch you 15 yards.
You can blitz whoever you want. You can do a whole lot of things as a defense when you literally aren't able to get the ball moving further than 15 yards. And it was maddening. There were plenty of shows where I was just frustrated having watched a game. You guys brought up the Iowa State game where Sorsby didn't cross over 100 yards until late in the fourth quarter. That came on an Evan Pryor giant pass play.
Yeah.
And so without that
traveled, 4 yards?
But he got like 45. But without that pass play, where's that game even at? Embarrassing is what it is. So you've got to figure a whole bunch of stuff out. I know you said that, this relies on in the hands of a lot of receivers. It's, of course, not just them, because it depends on what your line is able to give you. We've had a line that has been comprised largely on running. And I think this year,
but I thought they were fine pass blocking last year. They were fine. 2 years ago, it was meet me at the quarterback, right? It was a disaster. I didn't think there was a ton of issue until we got into late in the season. And again, teams just realized they didn't have to stretch their defense at all. Like there's not a whole lot an offensive line can do at that point to protect the quarterback.
I don't want to get lost in the weeds on the offensive line. All I'm saying is the offensive line has to make sure that they do protect Brendan Sorsby, because there's a lot of moving parts in all of this, and we do want to make sure that we are focusing in this episode on the wide receivers, though. So I don't, again, just not trying to get lost in the weeds, just saying there's a lot of moving parts as you're rebuilding an offensive line.
2 transfers and a new starter, like you're rebuilding. If you want to hear more about the offensive line, you can go back to last Wednesday, 1 week ago, when we had Nick Caldwell on the BCJ podcast. Like, if you're a football fan, there's nobody giving you anything close to what we're giving you as we approach the season. I'm just saying, not to toot our own horn, but we're doing a great job here.
Now, I'll be completely honest. Noah Jennings was a name that came up quite a bit in spring ball. He's probably if you want to chalk him in as the fourth guy of the big, I consider the big three, the ones I already named. But Noah Jennings made a name for himself, certainly in spring ball, and you probably had a far better perspective on that than I do.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he had a good spring. The interesting thing for me, Aaron, we talked about the 2 main guys, right? Clearly, Cyrus Allen, Jeff Caldwell.
Yeah.
One of these 3 guys, Isaiah Johnson, Noah Jennings, Caleb Goodie, one of them has to be good. One of them has to be a factor, I think. And all 3 of them have speed. One of the things when I put the Satterfield conversation up when we're talking about the offense, he noted that, like, 2 years ago, painfully slow at wide receiver. Last year, it got better. This year, they went out and emphasized guys that can get down the field and guys that can make the safeties have to respect, more than 15 yards. Because that's what it comes down to, right? Sure. If your safeties can stay 15 yards and in, then the defense is pretty tight. If you're pushing the safeties down the field, all of a sudden space starts to open up for a guy like Joe Roy or for a guy like Cyrus Allen to make plays in the middle of the field. So one of those 3 guys for me are kind of key to this, that we see one of them step up, because I do think Cyrus Allen and Jeff Caldwell are going to be a good 1-2 punch at wide receiver, but it can't just be those 2 guys. Like last year, I thought Xavier Henderson was really good. But guess what? Once teams figured out these are the routes he likes to run, they took that away from him, and there was nobody else to really make them pay for saying, we're going to take away Henderson, we're going to take away Royer. You don't have anybody else that can beat us. I think it's important that one of those 3 guys establishes themselves as a factor.
Well, what made that 2021 team so good? Having Alec 3 Pierce, receivers.
Tyler Scott,
Trey Tucker,
yeah,
and having a tight end who was also good.
Yeah.
So you combine all of those things. Let's hope that we can get back there. You mentioned Isaiah Johnson, some other names that we haven't mentioned yet that we did mention last year as
internal young guys. Yeah,
as they were some young guys. We haven't we haven't talked a whole lot this spring of Cale Woodburn.
He's been hurt. So he's been dinged up. We haven't seen him a ton.
Then that makes far more sense. But Dakari Anderson, Elijah Jones, some other names that are, still here. Barry Jackson, you did mention him earlier, but another guy who's been electric at times.
Yeah, Dakari had a really good spring. Like, I thought he flashed quite a bit. Elijah Jones looks great. He's got some size. He's got some physicality to him. I think he's got an opportunity as he continues to develop to be a really good possession, like number 2 type guy. A guy that you look to on 2nd and 8 to get you 6-7 yards, get you a first down, keep the chains moving. I don't know that he's necessarily like a burner, but he's big and strong. I like him and what he brings. And then the guy the freshman that came in and wowed everybody this spring in terms of his physical nature is Gio Kontosis, who he's already at 215, almost 220. Like that's a big boy for a wide receiver.
For a true freshman, huge.
Yeah.
I guess
grown ass man kind of frame to him.
I have another question on staff before we move off topic. But is there anything else you want to bring up on the actual players here?
No, I mean I think that's the basis of where we're at. Like Allen, Caldwell, you need them to be 1 and 2 in whatever order they are, and then you need something from Johnson, Jennings, and Goodie.
Yep.
To complement them.
I guess my last question would be, Brad Glenn's been here now for a couple of years, and if this room can't figure it out this season, when?
It's a good question. I mean, they brought in, they've spent a lot of time and resources on trying to get this wide receiver room figured out. Like that's ultimately on Brad Glenn. Like you're the leader of the troops. So need to see a jump, need to see better from this room. And, I don't think it's his fault for what happened in year 1.
I understand. I guess the biggest question that I have for this room is motor. It feels like as the season has gone on, it feels like the motor for a lot of this room has just not been 100% for the last 2 years.
I don't think that's necessarily fair. Like, we're not watching the tape. The motor might be fine, Aaron. You could have the highest motor in the world, but you couldn't go out there and get open. Like, I don't know that there was enough talent for us to get to motor, if that makes sense. I do think there's enough talent this year. There is enough speed. There is enough length. Like, you're not dealing with a bunch of, 5'10", 5'11" guys that aren't fast. Like, the reason you have 5'10" and 5'11" guys, right, is because they're supposed to be super quick.
Twitchy,
I don't think we had that. Yeah, I don't think we had that. I don't think we saw that. So I don't think that's necessarily fair. Just in that, I don't know that they were talented enough for us to even get
to get the separation.
Yeah. So, but now I do think there is enough speed, there's enough athleticism in that room that if it doesn't click this year, then it is fair to start wondering when. Like, if we can't get there now, when are we going to get there?
Fair enough. You revamp the room. How many times do you get to revamp the room before you have figured it out?
Right. I think that's fair. All right. That's going to do it. We'll see you back again tomorrow. That is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!